Hey there, happy Friday, and welcome to today's live episode of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Klink, and I'm excited for today's episode because I'm going to give you one of those swift kicks in the arse that you probably need. Specifically, I'm going to kind of talk to you about the role that you play in your business and the fact that you are 100% accountable for your business. That's what we're going to talk about today. And what I'm going to tell you is that this is something that maybe is kind of scary, but it's also something that should be freeing and that hopefully will kind of give you a bit of empowerment in your business. Now, before we dive into the content though, if you haven't yet, you definitely need to go check out my coach, James Wedmore, his video series, The Rise of the Digital CEO. It is an amazing series. It's an 8-part series. You register for it. You get all 8 of them right up front, and you're able to go and kind of binge all this content and get a ton of value about how to build an online business the right way. What are the 5 gears you need in your business? And how do you start thinking about putting together a business that will let you have the results you want and not be kind of focused on doing the stuff that maybe you don't want to do? So you can go over and get access to the Rise of the Digital CEO by heading to bobbyklink.com/rise. Now, you're only going to be able to get access to it if you're listening to this live or pretty close to live, because the series is only available for a short period of time. So make sure you head over and get access at bobbyklink.com/rise. Now, with that, I want to dive into today's message, which is that you are 100% accountable for what happens in your business. Now, when I say that, before I dive into what that means, I want to talk about what it means to be accountable. Being accountable doesn't necessarily mean that it's your fault. It doesn't mean that you should get credit. It simply means that the buck stops with you. The buck in our businesses always stops with us. Now, if we have a team and someone on our team makes a mistake, we're still accountable for it. We are still the ones who have to stand up and say, hey, that's on me. But for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's a more important statement, because for a lot of entrepreneurs, when you're first starting out, you're kind of the only person in your business. And so maybe you're like, well, duh, Bobby, of course I'm responsible and accountable and all those things. But the bigger point of it is, if that's where you are, what I want you to be recognizing and thinking about and talking about it, wondering about it, and kind of having in your head is, what does that mean? What does it mean that you are accountable and responsible? There's a couple of things to it. Number one, it means, and this one's a big one, that the cavalry's not coming for most of us. Now, once you have a team, the cavalry might be coming. Now, people who know me know that, I had, who are in my world know, like, I don't know, about a month ago or so, we had a family emergency, and my team stepped in and helped me. But for the most part, you're not going to have that kind of like cavalry of people coming in. And this was something that I kind of recognized when I started my law firm. So and this was before my online business, but I want to go back to my law firm because there's an important message here. See, before that, I'd always been at other firms, and it allowed me to kind of like, I don't even know the best way to say this, but to not take responsibility for my own future. To say, well, they're bringing in cases, so I don't have to. Oh, I don't have to worry about becoming good at marketing because I don't have to market. We have cases coming in from here, there, yonder. That was the kind of thing that I was doing. Well, when I started my own law firm, I was in for this rude awakening, because all of a sudden I was, in fact, 100% accountable. I couldn't look to anybody else. I couldn't expect anyone else to be doing this stuff. I had to do it. And it was this, like I said, it was kind of a rude awakening for me in the law firm days. But the reality is that you're always accountable for your own future. Now, I'm not saying that there are not things that will be thrown in your way. There are, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. What I'm saying is that oftentimes when we work at a job, we have this kind of false illusion that we're not accountable. We're not responsible. We're safe. We can just show up and keep working. But one of the things that I hope a lot of people have learned over the last, 3-4 months with what's going on with COVID, but even before that, with all of these different interruptions in the market that have happened over time, is that what used to be seen as safe, stable jobs actually aren't safe or stable. A lot of people who were in these things that they thought, oh, it's safe and stable, they ended up out on the street or not having a job. And the reality is that we have always all been accountable, responsible for our own futures and for actually taking steps to make sure that we are kind of creating the things that we need to be creating to give ourselves the results we want. Now, when you're an employee, that means obviously building your skills and doing the things so that you become indispensable and all of that. Now, once you're an entrepreneur, it's pretty brought into stark relief that you've got to do it. You got to, especially when you're starting out, you're doing the work of creating, you're doing the work of marketing, you're doing the work of admin, you're doing the work of all the everything. But even when you start to build a team, you still are in that position. Like I am still in a position where I'm 100% accountable for what is happening in my business. That means that, now I have different accountabilities. Now I have to make sure that the things are getting done. But now part of my accountability is checking to see, are my team members, are there ways I need to coach them? Are there ways I need to help them to grow into their roles? See, but I'm still accountable for it. And quite honestly, if someone on my team screws something up, that's on me. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% on me every time. Now, if I've taught someone something a bunch of different times and they screw it up, yeah, it's on them too. But if I let them keep screwing it up over and over and over again, that's on me. So this is kind of scary when you're an entrepreneur and you have this recognition that all of a sudden you're like, whoa, it's on me. There's nobody else. There's no cavalry coming. I can't rely on someone else to just do the marketing for me. I can't rely on someone else to just kind of bring everything and no. And you have that recognition. But although it's scary, it's also pretty damn empowering. And it's empowering for the same reason that when you recognize that you're the problem or have been the problem in the past, that's empowering. Because when I've recognized places where I was the problem before, I say, well, if I was the problem, guess what that also means? That means I'm the solution. That means I can make changes and I can grow and I can do things differently so that all of a sudden things will get solved. So it's kind of this, it's scary but empowering all at once. And again, I do want to talk about something. I don't want people to think that I'm saying that it's your fault or that you're responsible. And I definitely don't want people to hear me say and believe that what I'm saying is that, that there aren't going to be challenges and that, you are going to succeed. And if you don't, it's all your fault. That is not what I'm saying. There are going to be challenges in this world. There are going to be challenges in your life. That is a reality. And again, that's been a reality forever. And it's, again, come into stark relief, right? I mean, there were challenges that have come up over the last few months that people have dealt with. Like I'm just going to say, I knew a lot of people who were launching right in the middle of, COVID becoming a thing, me included. That's a challenge. There's no question about that. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I've said this many times, I believe that my launch of Badass Email Marketing would have had better results. I would have gotten better results if I didn't face that challenge. But the reality was that was a challenge that was there. I couldn't control that, but I had to be accountable for the decisions I made in my business at that time. And so I continued and I made the decisions and I had to do it. And I just want everyone to get that yes, you're going to have things, life, entrepreneurship, they are going to throw you curveballs. And you know, there's this one speech from a movie that I always come back to. It's from The American President, where towards the end, President Shepard, played by Michael Douglas, he comes into the press briefing room and he starts talking, and he says this thing, and he's talking about citizenship in America. He says, America is advanced citizenship. You know, it's going to challenge you. It's going to throw things in your way that are going to make you upset. And it talks about, you know, free speech is about, you know, you defending the right of someone to say something that you would argue against with your dying breath, right? And I always think of that quote because what I'm going to tell you is entrepreneurship is the same freaking way. Your business is going to challenge you. The world is going to challenge you. And some of it is stuff that has nothing to do with business that just sucks and it's there. But I'm going to tell you there's also going to be challenges that come because you're building your business. And when you grow, when like you get out of your comfort zone, that's when I have found in my experience, my business tends to try to knock me down. Being accountable for your business means that you have to recognize that things are going to knock you down. That sucks. But the only way you're going to succeed is if you get back up. And it means that you have to constantly make the decision every day to take a step forward. And it sucks a lot of the times. There are going to be things, there are going to be times you don't want to do that. And I'll be honest with you, there are times when all of us are going to say, you know what, I'm going to disconnect for a while. And that's okay. But the reality is that you have to be willing to take on challenges. You have to be willing to fight through this. Now, I did an episode, I don't remember which, I don't remember when it was. It was earlier this year, towards the beginning of the year, if I remember correctly, where one of the things I said is that it's a darn good thing that there are challenges. Because look, if being an entrepreneur wasn't hard, everybody'd do it. The only reason why you and I and the entrepreneurs can build businesses and actually make money at what we do is because it's freaking hard. And most people aren't willing to do the damn work. And again, I'm, it is what it is. I hope I'm not, bumming you out with this. But what I'm going to tell you is this is why it's empowering. It's empowering because so many people are going to give up. And if you are someone who doesn't give up, who keeps going, who perseveres, who says, yes, I get that things are going to be hard. I get that business and life and all these things are going to really try to knock me off my game, but I'm going to keep freaking going. And you keep taking those steps forward, you're going to succeed. That is what I want you to get. That is why this is so empowering. That is what I need you to hear from me, is that if you want to build a business, you have to be committed and you gotta be willing to say, I am 100% accountable. I'm not going to let other things, even though they're not my fault, I'm not going to say, well, that's not my fault, and let it then stop me. I don't care whose fault things are that happen in my business. I just keep going. And I'll be honest, a lot of them are my fault. There's no doubt about that. But there are things that happen that aren't my fault. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that it's someone else's fault. Doesn't matter if I can blame someone else. So what? I mean, who cares? Blaming doesn't help. Only taking the next step, continuing, not giving up, and saying, you know what? I got this, world. That is what will get you through the hard times. And so my call to action to you today is that if you want to be an entrepreneur, you've got to look inside. You got to look in your mind and say, am I willing to admit that I am 100% accountable and I can't blame things on anyone else. It doesn't matter if it's someone else's fault. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that's not going to do me any good. So I'm going to take responsibility and I'm going to say I'm accountable. The buck stops with me. That's what you need to do to get success. So that's my call to action. But one more time, I'm going to give you one last actual, very specific call to action. If you haven't yet grabbed access to my coach, James Wedmore's free video series, The Rise of the Digital CEO, I encourage you to do that right now. Head over to bobbyklink.com/rise and you can get access. He walks through how you can actually start building your business. And so again, he, did a live in his Facebook group yesterday talking about the fact that you can decide either you can spend money, you can spend time, but you got to choose one. And, he's like that. He's going to hold you accountable. He's going to tell you like it is. And so if you're ready to be accountable, heading over and checking out his video series is the thing that might just help you kind of find that missing piece. So head over to bobbyklink.com/rise to get access to the video series. And I will see you again next Tuesday for another episode of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. Talk to you later.